right, guys, good morning, and thank you for joining us today. This is our first session of our Overachievers Club, and our topic today is Jumpstart Your Business. I do have a couple guests here with us today, Josh Pringle, our VP of Marketing, and Jeff Rayborn, who is currently out on caravan right now, multitasking as he's the passenger in the car, so he's operating safely. But he's here as well, and he has got Randy Whiteley in the car with him today, so we're going to call that an honorary member of the Overachievers Club for today. And we also have Carl Rodemeyer with us, so thank you guys all for joining us today. So the whole point of the Overachievers Club is that I want to have a place for you guys. We put a lot of classes on the calendar. And we started the calendar a couple months ago, and I feel like some of it has gotten a little diluted. So what I wanted this to be for you guys is a place for those of you who are either not quite meeting your goals, or you just want to do more, or you're just looking to do, a couple extra deals here and there, or if you really want to ramp up your business and you want to double it, whatever that looks like, you guys are going to be able to take these tactics that we're going to talk about in the Overachievers Club, and you're going to be able to apply those to your business. So the first thing I want to start about when we talk about Jumpstart Your Business, this can be for anybody. It can be for a brand new agent. It can be for somebody who's been working in the business for a little while and things have gotten a little stale and you just need a jumpstart to get things started again and get yourself on that roll. For those of us that have been in the business for a while, you know that once you get one or two transactions, they just start coming and the business starts rolling and you get on that roll and the momentum is there, and that's all we need sometimes. So this is a good topic for all of us. I think the things we're going to talk about today are some things that I like to do anytime I'm restarting my business or there's a resurgence, or even if I'm just a little overwhelmed and need to, recategorize and recommit some things. So first, we're going to talk about what's the very first thing that you think you need to do to jumpstart your business. Carl, if you had to give me a guess, what's the first thing you would say that you need to do in order to jumpstart your business?
Well, we talked about yesterday, I need to get more listings. And so that's priority right now.
Okay. And I'm going to peel the onion a little bit on this. What's the best way for you to get more listings?
Well, I do the postcards and I do my magazines.
Right.
But I haven't been doing anything like no door knocking, anything like that.
So let me ask you this question. Is it safe to say that if you're not having conversations with sellers, you're not getting listings?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So we all need to be having more conversations. And I think that's what a lot of what I'm going to talk about is going to boil down to, is getting yourself prepared to be able to have the conversations that you need to have. So the first step in jumpstarting your business, I'm going to suggest, is that you get your database pulled together. Many of us have a database. I will admit I have one that's a little bit of a hot mess right now. I realized a couple months ago on my phone that for the last 3 or 4 years, any contacts I've been adding have not been going into my Outlook database. They have been going into my phone's database. So I have to go through my phone and take all the contacts out of my phone and get them into my Outlook database, because that's normally where I go in order to be able to categorize my clients. It's where I go to be able to contact my clients. It's where I keep notes. And so if all those people are in my phone and not in my Outlook, it really doesn't do me any good. I also use my Outlook as I can export that database to upload it into the Engage CRM or into any other CRM that I want to use. And so having that really clean is important. I'm going to ask you guys, if you would unmute yourselves or put in the chat, what do you think are the best sources? I mentioned my phone, but what other sources do you have for adding people to your database? And I don't mean going out and making contacts. I mean the people you already know. Where do you have those people stored? Throw out some ideas to me. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Like I said, throw it in the chat or just say it, or I'll start picking on people. Where's the first place you're going to go to start looking?
Were you asking me?
Yeah.
You just hit right on the head there. Almost all of mine are in my phone. So I need to do that. I need to get those into Outlook.
Right. So your phone, your mail system, if you have a couple of different email addresses, maybe you're using a Gmail account or a Yahoo account or an AOL account, you want to make sure that you're pulling all of those emails out of just the email text that you've had and the email, right. All of those phone numbers and contact information. A lot of it is in email signatures too. You can get it from there. Another place to look is your old files. So go through the clients who you closed in the last few years. We know the best source of business is past business. And so go through those old, all those old transactions, go into SkySlope, go into your paper files if you have them, or into your digital files, and pull the contact information from there. I'm gonna go old school and say, go to your Rolodex or your address book, or even just your notepad. I, still operate, tell me I have it with me here today, but I still operate with a little spiral bound notebook that I keep in my purse so that I have it everywhere I go. There's a lot of phone numbers in here and a lot of contact information. When somebody, like if I'm just, sitting at the desk and I get a sign call or something like that, it goes into here. So I want to make sure I pull stuff from there and get it into the database. But also, if you have an old Rolodex or you have an old address book, pull all that information out of it and get it into your database, your notes. Anywhere else? Can you guys think of any other places that I didn't touch on where you feel like you might have contacts stored? Think about that for yourselves for a while, and if you can
your notes in your iPhone.
That's a great idea. Inside your notes in your phone, or text messages.
I was actually going through my notes in my thing, and I came across, and it said Colony Palms buyer. There's a lady that's the manager at Colony Palms when I was having lunch, and she goes, "I'm interested in buying a house. I'm a first-time home buyer." I'm like, I took her information, but like it didn't click to follow.
That's a great idea. I think also your text messages, I could probably sit here and scroll through my text messages and find phone numbers that I don't have saved as contacts in my phone, and there's probably tons of them. So that's, just think about that. Think about what you can do. I will admit, I am trying to get my database cleaned up so that I can.
These are folders of like all of our people. Sorry.
We have like this gigantic Rolodex of folders of people that we went on a listing appointment with, and they never listed with us. And we keep checking. I check once a month on the MLS to see if those properties were actually ever listed. And if not, we send them a letter.
And so you want to get those people added into your database so you can add them to your CRM, whether it's Engage or whatever it is,
so that
you're sending them something every month, right?
Right.
So, and like I said, I'm in the situation where I've been doing this for many years. Right. I've been doing this for many years, and now I'm having to go through my database and clean it up again. It's not a one-time thing. This is probably something you need to be doing at least once a year, if not quarterly or monthly.
We usually get one sale out of going through that stuff. Absolutely. We get at least one sale.
Right. So the next step after you get your database cleaned up, the reason that we need to do that is we want to go have conversations, and the best way to have conversations with people is to have all their data compiled in one place. But the next thing that I want you guys to think about, and this is a topic that, it can be a little touchy for some people more than others. But I want you to think about getting into action, and getting into action quickly. Get ready while you get to it. There's this little phenomenon that we used to talk about on a team I was on once, and it was called you had the desire to ready, aim, and never fire, right? And so what you don't want to do is wait until you have everything perfect to fire, because it's never going to be. Your processes, your systems, all of that should be evolving and changing all of the time, but you're not going to know what to change until you get into action. So I can give you a quick little example. There was a time where a team hired me to come out of production for 6 months and to rewrite their listing presentation. And we did. I mean, this was a very thorough listing presentation. It had separate marketing pieces and all kinds of stuff that went into it. The very first listing appointment that we went on, we changed the listing presentation. We changed it after every appointment that we went on. There was something that we were always tweaking and changing because we came up with a new objection, or there was something else that we decided that we needed to share with the client, or the market was changing, or the trends were changing, the way we market, the way we do things was changing, and we always had to make edits to that. What I don't want you to do is take that listing presentation example and don't sit there and wait until everything's perfect. Just go. Get your listing presentation as pulled together as you can before you have an appointment to go on, and then go on it and make the decision to change the things you want to change later, right? And that's the same thing when it comes to getting your database together. Don't wait until your database is completely together to start making your phone calls. Do that while you're getting your database together, and make sure that you're time blocking those pieces so that you don't just sit and work in the minutia all day long and never get to the place where you're doing the important part, which is actually having conversations. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So again, your processes will always be changing. You want to be flexible and make any changes that you feel you need, and you need that evolution to keep your tactics and processes fresh and in tune with current market and client needs. And you need to be in practice to know what you need to change. That's probably the biggest piece of advice I can give you, is get into practice so you know what the challenges are and what the things are that are going to come up. Don't try to wait until you have it completely bulletproof. Otherwise, you're just going to be sitting there doing the ready, aim thing. How do you guys feel about that? How does that make you what's your reaction to that topic or that kind of conversation?
So for me, it is something that I've actually learned from you, and it's stop waiting until you have it perfect. It will become perfect as we do it. Like in the beginning, I was very hesitant to attack like certain projects because I didn't know how to do them. And Stephanie's like, you never have to do something alone. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help guide you. You're never by yourself. And I'm like, but I want to make sure that I'm perfect at what I'm doing. You're never going to be.
No.
Benjamin and I, it's the fixin' to. I'm fixing to start it. I'm fixing to do it. No, enough with the fixing to. It's time. Just do it.
And I think the biggest thing that Josh and I learned through that evolution of creating our systems for helping agents was that our 50%, our 75% is better than a lot of people's 100%.
Correct.
And so just because you feel like you don't have it exactly where it needs to be, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, the client's never going to know.
They'll never know.
They're not pros at it either, right?
Right. Like, I mean, I learned in design by myself at home watching YouTube. I'm not 100% at it, and I never will be, because I'm not a graphic designer. I didn't go to school, but I'm able to do the things that we need. Do the things that you need to service your clients. They'll never know that you're not, accelerating or making and doing all of these things. Like they just want the best deal. And it's about personality, and it's about being humble and saying, I don't have the most perfect plan right now, but this is what has worked, and I'm going to continue to build upon it.
Right. Exactly. It can be a little scary. And I think for a lot of us, you don't want to look silly. You don't want to look stupid. You don't want to feel dumb more than anything. I think for most of us, more than looking dumb, we don't want to feel like we don't know what we're doing. And that's kind of the next part that we're going to talk about, is that after you've got that database pulled together, and once you are, you're ready to get yourself into action, what's the next step? And that next step is getting into conversation. It's starting to reach out to those people and knowing what to say. So I think the next little part that we're going to talk about here, and probably what we're going to talk about for most of the rest of the time today, is your script. So once you have your database pulled together, or you're in the middle of it, and let's say you've got 10 phone calls, right? 10 phone numbers that you can reach out to. Start making the calls. As soon as you have 10, start making your calls and reaching out to them, right? And getting into that conversation, what I want us to think about today is, first of all, how many real estate conversations do you need to have each day in order to meet your goals? Agents ask me that all of the time, and I will be candid. My answer is normally you have to track your results in order to be able to determine what that number is. However, I can give you a number. There's this old saying that there was a company I used to work for that had you do insane amounts of calling. And we used to, on the team I was on, we used to joke that a lot of the tactics that company would use was strength training. If you want to do more push-ups, do more push-ups, right? You just practice and practice and practice and practice and practice and practice. But sometimes you want to strengthen different muscles, and you want to do a little cross training so that when you come in to do those push-ups, you don't have to do as many to get where you want to be, right? And so I want you guys really to think about making sure that, I can tell you guys go make 100 phone calls a day, and you may not get to the 100, but you're not going to necessarily fail, because you'll make enough that you'll have some results, right? What I want you to do, though, is think about skills training, not just strength training, not doing more and more and more and more. Repetition's important. It really is. But I want you to think about how you're training and what you're doing. And if you're not getting a result, there's that old saying that Einstein said, that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. If you're not getting the result you desire, which is appointments, that's the thing we're looking for, an opportunity to get in front of a client, either on the phone, on Zoom, or in person, to have a real estate related conversation, right? And not everybody is always in a place where they need that. So that's why we have all the other tools that we have that make us relevant when they don't need that. It's why we have the magazines, and we have product placement, and we have, other things that we bring into it, content that we put out on social media that's not real estate related, that helps to keep us at top of mind. But making sure that you have your scripts pulled together and have the data that backs it up are the two things that are going to help you to be confident going into those conversations. Those are the two things that are going to help you to get the results you need. So what's the first thing you need to do, or what's the first thing you need to do to prepare to have a conversation with somebody? The first thing I'm going to suggest is you need to know your inventory. So if you haven't already, set yourself up a hot sheet, set yourself up a saved search for, I like hot sheets or market area searches if you're in Flex MLS, because what those do is they set up, let's just say you're going to use a neighborhood in Palm Desert, or you're going to do South Palm Desert. If I set up a hot sheet for myself or a market search area for myself, it will only show me the things that the changes that have happened since the last time I logged on. And that keeps me up to date without having to look at all of the inventory over and over again every day. So I'm going to suggest you set up a couple of hot sheets for yourself. The first time you open them, it'll be huge because it's everything you haven't seen yet. And then after that, it'll just be little updates each day as to what's closing, what's going canceled, what's expired, all of those things. And each of those little bits and pieces are going to give you ideas. First of all, the expired, if you can find the phone numbers for them, reach out to them and see if they're still interested in selling, because we specialize in selling homes that didn't sell the first time around. By the way, that's a script that I've memorized for over 20 years now. And so that's why I can go into any listing appointment and have a conversation, because I know my script. And so I'm going to suggest that's the second thing, is that you need to know your scripts and dialogues. It doesn't have to be robotic. And when I just said that I specialize in homes that didn't sell the first time around, doesn't necessarily always feel like a script, because it's internal to me. I do specialize in those homes. That's what I do. And I'm able to help sellers who couldn't get their home sold the first time, sold the second time around. So would it be worth 15 minutes of your time today if I stopped by around 2 o'clock and together we can figure out why your home didn't sell the first time around? There's your answer, right? And so you need to have that market knowledge, so you have a little something to chat about, a little something to talk about that's real estate related. And then you need your script so that you can close for the appointment and make sure that you get that opportunity to get in front of them and have a conversation. I'm going to stop talking for a sec. My throat's a little, with the allergies that are going on right now, my throat's a little dry. I'm going to take a sip of water, but I want to hear what you guys have to say about that conversation and about how you feel about scripts and dialogues and getting, because I think stats are one thing. We can all learn that, and we'll do a MLS stats class one day. But today I want to hear what you guys wanted when it comes to talking to your clients and having conversations. How confident do we all feel in our ability to have a conversation off the cuff with a client? Who wants to go first?
I nominate Carl.
He was my first choice too. Go ahead.
I know,
Carl.
Right? I don't have a real big problem with talking to potential clients. I'm pretty good at doing the visiting and going through that. I just need to be more prepared, but as far as being able to talk to them, I don't have a problem with that at all. That does not.
Let me ask this, because I know you're good with conversation, Carl. You and I had a chat a little while ago where we talked about your close and overcoming objections and making, being able to build rapport is the first part of it, right? But then we got to get to the business piece of it. And I think we chatted about you wanting to strengthen that piece of your business. I think we all do. I even, I do as well. I want to be able to strengthen my ability to overcome objections and to close, and not necessarily just close, but when somebody hits a roadblock, it's not necessarily a roadblock for me, it's a roadblock for them. I have to show them how to get over that roadblock, right? Or that little speed bump, whatever the thing is.
That's right.
And making sure, when you said you need to be more prepared, I feel like making sure that you have those scripts and dialogues ready to help the client overcome those objections or those speed bumps. You're just helping them to get through the process, right?
That's right.
That's what makes us the professionals.
That's
And
exactly right.
so I love it. I had an agent a very long time ago tell me, I was like, well, here's the script and here's how we say this piece of it. And she's like, well, that's not me. And I don't do things that way. And that's not how I want to do it. And I was like, well, great. You can do it your way. But what I need you to do is show up for the client the way they need you to. And this way works for the client. So think about that too. And Carl, I know you're amazing at it. I want to say you are probably have a better ability to put yourself in other people's shoes than most of us do. But really think about that, making sure that, and we have to be careful too, that we just don't go down the empath road and feel the pain with them, because that's not what they're hiring us to do, right? They're hiring us to be the professional. And sometimes they're hiring
To fix
us
the
to tell them-
problem.
yeah, they're hiring us to stop the bleeding and tell them the thing that they
And
don't
fix the
necessarily
problem.
want to
My-
hear.
My mom died. I don't know what to do with the house. Like,
Right.
And you hit it
Someone
right on.
help me.
That is one of the most important things, because a lot of the stuff that we tell them, they don't want to hear some of the things we have to tell them. So it's up to us to explain it so they figure it out.
Right. And let me be honest with you, Carl. My job here is not to tell you what you want to hear. My job is to tell you what you need to hear. And that's what you hired me for, right?
That's right.
And that conversation works with me as a manager or a broker to you. It also works, with your clients, because they didn't hire us to tell them to sugarcoat it and to make it look pretty.
Right.
That's also the challenge when somebody's working with a friend. Even if they are working with you as a friend and they're a good friend of yours, I want you to remember, in this situation, there's a little difference. I'm a professional. I can handle you telling me things you might not want to tell me, right? Like if you came to my house for dinner and I made something you didn't like, personally, I'm not a fan of broccoli. You made a broccoli casserole and I came over.
I'm making you a broccoli casserole tomorrow night.
Right. But would I tell you? No, I probably would eat it and smile and maybe hide a little broccoli in my napkin, but I would eat it.
So I tell my clients, so there's two Joshes. There's Josh, the realtor, who is here to get your effing house sold. Sorry, I know you're recording this. And then two, there's Josh, your friend. So I had a client and he was like, I don't want to give you my listing because I don't want to have to call and yell at you whenever my house isn't selling. So we'll have Benjamin represent the listing. Right. And then you'll represent us as the buyer, because that's the fun part. And I go, You realize I'm still both sides of it, right? Stupid. Like, and I go, but I need you guys to understand something. I'm sitting in front of you right now, and I'm Josh Pringle, your realtor, that I'm asking you to interview me and hire me to do and sell your home and to sell you another home. And they go, wait, you just flipped the script on us and you became a completely different person. It's about how you change your demeanor. And I go, we're not friends right now. I am not your friend. Right. And it's the same thing, like whenever you have like personal relationships with people that you work with. I mean, it's like, I'm at work. I'm not like Benjamin and I, we are not friends at work. Trust me, we are not friends at work. But outside of work, that is my brother. That is my family. So it's being able to flip that switch with your, but what I do with my friends, whenever I'm representing them in a buyer capacity, if they send their financials to me, I'll have them send them to my TC. So I don't see their financials. And that gives them this like state of confidence that like, I don't want to know your business. I just want to represent you. Right. Yeah. I had a client who lived across the street from me, was a friend before it was a client. They decided to list with the new wife's friend. And he came at me at one point and was like, this isn't working. It's not selling. I don't know what's happening. And I was like, yeah, it's really hard to list with a friend. Like if you went to dinner at their house and didn't like what they made, would you tell them? No, you probably would just eat it. It sounds like you're in the situation where you're just eating dinner you don't like every day. And he's like, yeah. So a couple days later, he comes up to me and he was like, okay, well, do you know a realtor I could use? And I was like, yeah, me. And he's like, but it's the same situation. We're friends. And I said, let's do this. No. Let's just promise that I can take anything you have to say to me and it's not going to change our friendship. Correct. So if there's anything that's happening that you're not happy with, let me know. And I promise you, we will sit down and resolve it. I don't want you to treat me like a friend whose feelings you can't hurt, because that's not how I'm going to treat you. That's not why you're hiring me. You want me to tell you the ugly truth if it's there, right? Absolutely. Right. Okay. Right. And we sold that person's house in 15 days and put them into a new home, a nicer, bigger home. So, those, and again, it's having that script. I was walking my dog that day. I was probably getting dirt kicked at me while I was picking up Wesley's poop while this conversation was happening.
And the only reason I was able to do it with such ease is because I have those scripts memorized and down. So
Right.
that also leads us to making sure you have script partners. But before we go on to that, I want to just stop for a second and ask if Stephen or Craig, I know you guys are muted, but do either of you have any input? I really would like to hear from either one of you if you're able to unmute yourselves and throw in some input about what we just talked about.
That'd be good, that'd be good, so you quit picking on me.
We'll start with Stephen and then we'll go to Craig next.
I really don't have a good script. I'm fine when it comes to dealing with buyers, and I feel like I do know the inventory and I can talk, all aspects of that. But I just don't have a listing script.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, I will tell you, I have a full front to back, and Josh hates it when I say that, but a full, like, from the time you get in the car, what you should be doing, to the time you get to the house 10 minutes early so they can see you outside making notes, to the time that you take the list to go back to the office and take the listing. I have a full script that I would be more than happy to share with you. And as a matter of fact, maybe on our next meeting, maybe we go over that script together and talk about that, if that's what you guys are looking for. Because I want to make, like, I have topics planned out, but I'm going to make the next topic based on what we talked about at the last meeting. If you guys tell me you need scripts for listing presentations, then that's what it'll be. So right now, that's where we're at, unless we have something else. So I do have a great script for you, very simple. And it asks for the order. It asks for the order about 3 times. And if at any point they say yes, you stop what you're doing, you pull out the paperwork and you sign there. And we can talk about how all that works. Craig, I'd love to hear from you too, though. How do you feel about what we just talked about?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't mind getting a copy of that script.
Of course.
I'm always looking for ways to, make things better for me. When people don't like to be cold called generally, so they kind of feel like you're intruding, and I do a lot of cold calling. So I think for me the biggest challenge is in getting them engaged, because right away they want to get off the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I always, obviously I always have a very upbeat, happy, hey, how are you doing? But sometimes they just want to, slam the phone down.
Yeah.
So I think for me that's just been one of the challenges in cold.
You do have a special knack, though, because I've listened to you make your calls in the office. You have a special knack for making a cold call warm. And I'll tell you, you're way better at it than I am. You do lots of things better than I do, but that's one of them in particular, that you have a way of making a cold call warm. And in all honesty, your script is not, and don't take this the wrong way, but Craig's script is not magical. Like, he's just conversational. It's not robotic. It's just very warm and very conversational. Genuine. And it does. I can't hear the client on the other end, but I can hear the lead into it, and I can hear him pull them into the conversation. So one other thing that I probably would like to do at one point is we will run some farming cold call script practice, or
that would be a fun one.
Role play.
That would be a fun one.
I like role playing for sure.
I know. And you know what? That's actually, we've struggled with getting it on the calendar on a regular basis, which is why I wanted to implement some of that into these sessions that we're going to be doing twice a month, because I feel like if we could, everybody should have a role play partner. You should be practicing whatever the challenges you have that week. If it's that you're doing, cold calls, or you're calling your sphere, or you have listing presentations to go on and you want to recite that listing presentation a couple times, having somebody that you call for 10 or 15 minutes in the morning before you start doing your calls for the day is a really great warm up.
And even make multiple calls to them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Stephanie and I even practice this for the recruiting, like ring, ring. And I'm like, hi. She's like, hi, this is Stephanie, like, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, so like, let's talk about like what that looks like. I mean, we do it as managers and owners of the company, like whenever we're making phone calls for recruiting. And I mean, I've called Stephanie several times and been like, I don't know how to call this client and tell them like, we're not going to be able to close escrow right now. And I need some help. Like, what do I say to like smooth the bandage over a little tighter?
And a lot of times just being able to do, and it's, I mean, whoever your script partner is, that's great, but you can always call Josh or me or John or Ben, any of us, and we'll role play that with you to kind of get you to the place, whatever the conversation is. But especially, I think you guys are really great at bringing us those scenarios when you're in a transaction, but I don't think you bring us enough of them when you're lead generating. And I think also that has to do with the fact that I don't think we're doing enough lead generating because we haven't had to do as much for the last few years. Although Craig was still very consistent during that time with coming in and making his calls and reaching out to people. And I think that was probably how you got a good amount of your business. Other than your farming efforts, right?
Yeah, that definitely helped add to my business for sure.
Yeah. And Craig was also really good about when he would get an objection from a client, or if let's say he was going to type an email to them and send it to them, he'd send it over to me. We rework it. It generally ends up about half the length. And don't get me wrong, I am very wordy myself when I go to start typing out emails. Hey, watch yourself. And so I have to like walk away from it and come back and rework it so that it makes sure that I just get the bullet points in there. But I got to tell you, Craig, I'm really proud of some of the emails we've worked together on, that we've collaborated on. I think they've turned out very strong, right?
I appreciate your collaborative effort. That's where you really shine, is putting together some amazing letters and just getting to the point and making it sound really good. I like bouncing stuff off of you when I come in, and we kind of work together and throw stuff out there, take it off. I like that energy. Well,
and I got to tell you, it's my favorite part of the day too. Every time that we do stuff like that, it gives me so much energy, and it does. That's my jam. I love it when that's
the fun stuff. That's the fun stuff we get to do.
Right. So don't hesitate when you have those challenges, whatever they are. I think that is a lot of the point too of having a manager and having a broker in the office, is that any time, or having your VP of marketing or anybody. Josh is in production, so he has lots of experience with that too. But being able to just have somebody to bounce it off of, you're not in this alone. And they always say real estate's a scary place. Don't go there alone for too long. You want to make sure we get in our own heads about what's going on, and it's very easy to do that, especially because your friends and colleagues are also your competition. So it can feel like you don't necessarily want to share this stuff on Facebook or social media or any place, or even, just in person, because it can be a little scary. But that's always a safe place with us, that you have a place to come and collaborate to do that stuff.
100%.
So we are at about 36 minutes. I do think I want to ask you guys for scripts. I heard listing presentation script, and I don't know if we have enough time to go through that. We might, but are there any other script or any other challenges you're having with conversations right now other than listing presentations? How's your lead generation going? How are you feeling like you're having enough conversations, or do you still feel like you need more sources?
We always use more sources.
Yeah. How about you?
I go to a lot of mixers. I just joined the Rancho Mirage Chamber mixer today, and so I think mixers have been a great source to connect people. There's a really good one, Desert United, last Wednesday of the month at a classic club, and I think last Wednesday we had like 90, almost to 100 people there. And at the end, they email all the business cards of the people who were there, and of course I put all those into my database. Just for anybody else. I mean, every single month I go, like every couple of months, but that's, for other people who are on here, you might want to go to That's a Good Mixer. It's a luncheon.
How much time do you spend adding to your database each week, Craig?
Oh, I don't know, an hour or two.
That's all it really takes, right? Like, we talk about it like it's such a daunting task. I've had these business cards sitting on my desk for, I want to say, 3 or 4 months now. And there's 3 of them. I should be able to get these entered in 10 minutes, right? I just haven't done it. So it's a great point that you need to make that a practice. Stephen, I saw you were unmuted. I wanted to hear what you had to say too.
No, I was sort of interested in what Craig was saying, and I'm always looking for, like he said, always looking for new sources for leads.
Okay. Well, and there's a lot we can do. The next meeting that we're going to have, the next office meeting, is on the 21st. That's for the El Paseo office, and everybody's invited to it. I'm going to have the gentleman from Corfact come in and speak. He's going to have like a little 20-minute presentation. If you guys are getting serious about your farming in a specific neighborhood, I would highly recommend it. So far, let me see if I can pull one of the postcards that I have.
I think I have one.
I think you guys do. I hope so, because I put it in my little.
Yeah, I
marketing.
received one down here. I think I brought it to you.
Yeah. Oh, here. So these are this is what they pulled together for me. This is what my postcards look like. That's the front and that's the back of them. And this is actually a map around my house of the homes that have sold. This QR code, sorry, I'm going backwards. This QR code is specific to me. So when I scan it, it sends me a text message that says Stephanie just scanned her card. And it gives them a little home value. It makes sure it pulls their bedrooms, baths, and square footage from the database that I've entered. And it asks if it's a condominium or single family home, so just so that it only compares those type of properties. And it sends me the information. So what this has done in the last 2 months, my third mailer is about to go out now, but in the last 2 months, I've received 6 leads. 3 of them had phone numbers. One of them was not right, but I still have the property address where it came from. So I'm just sending note cards to those people saying, hey, I noticed that you scanned the postcard that came in the mail, and look, we're looking for a home valuation. I just want to let you know I live in the neighborhood. If there's anything I can ever do, I can always pop by on my way home, or whatever, just a quick little card. And as a matter of fact, I'm having note cards made by the company that match my background. This is like a little background photo that I bought. It's got my logo in it. And my picture, and then the little bar that matches. They're making note cards for me that match these, because they'll all be branded the same. And so that is another little piece. There's a cost involved with it. It's a $400 setup. They require that you commit to 12 months and send out at least 250 pieces a month. But for me to send out 337 pieces last month was $303. So it's very worth it. I don't do this everywhere. I only do this in the 2 neighborhoods I farm. One is where I live and the one is right behind it. But what this tells me is that while I want to communicate with my entire database from this farm, this tells me who to call first, right? So those 6 people are the people that I'm going to do my next pop by on. Those are the people I'm going to do I'm going to make sure they get something in the mail. I'm going to make sure that they get a note from me, and I'm going to reach out to these guys a little harder than I'm reaching out to the rest, if that makes sense. So this has been, right now I'm at $100. I've spent $600 and I've received 6 leads. So I'm at about $100 a lead, which I think is an amazing price. I'm very happy with it, and it's getting me just to get to know who the people are in my neighborhood now. So if you guys are looking for more lead sources, this has been really cool for me. I'm very happy with it. Have been so far. Like I said, I've only been doing it for a couple of months, but with the leads I've received, and it's been from I think it's 3 from each neighborhood that I've gotten. And so I would recommend it. He's going to be at our meeting on the 21st. So you guys are more than welcome to come and listen to the presentation and hear what he has to say. Like I said, there's a little setup fee that goes along with it, but it's well worth it for what they do.
So if you don't have an active listing and you're not using the text BHGRE writer, this is enough that, because that will collect the data. This is also an amazing way to collect the data out of your farm, because we've been trying to figure out a way to collect data out of your farm instead of like who's actually interested in it, or who's just going, here, let me throw this away. That's my jury summons, but let's just throw this away. So, I mean, if you don't have active listings with your text BHG thing on it, because that collects the data for you to, be able to farm and go after those people that have shown a genuine interest. This is another amazing way for you to generally find out who your audience is that is interested in. I
wanted to just kind of show you the second one real quick, because I want you guys to see. I had them customize this one for me, and it's kind of hard to see, but it says "Be in the know," and it's like a little comp card. This will go out, and I have 2 separate farms, so I pull the comps for each different farm and email them to them, and they put my data in the way I want. I'm a little control freak, so I like being able to do that stuff myself, but they will pull it for you if you want them to. I like the day that this went out, I was like, wait, before you send it out, one went from pending to closed. You need to change it on the postcard, and they did for me. So they've been really accommodating with all the changes I've wanted them to make, but they are able to do a separate order. So I have 100 of these go out, or 200 of these go out, and I have 150 of the ones for Santo Tomas go out. So those are the 2 neighborhoods that I'm sending to.
Stephanie, are they mailing them for you? I mean, are they doing the whole thing? And then are you aware if there are other agents who are overlapping in that area from the same company?
So not in my neighborhood. However, here's the cool thing. When you go in, and I'm going to suggest you come to that meeting where they go over it, because when you go in, I go into the, as a matter of fact, you know what? Let's just pull it up. I'm going to go into my Corfax account and I'm going to show you guys what you're able to, like, it's real quick what you're able to do.
Is that meeting going to be taped?
Mhm.
Because I just looked on my calendar. I'm going to be out of town that day.
Yep, I'm going to record it for you guys.
Okay, good.
So let's just share screen real quick and I'll let you guys see what you see when I log into my account. So we're going to sign into my Corfax account. I'm going to go into my Elite portal, and then these are all the cards I have chosen. So you go in and you select your 12 cards for the year. Every 3 months, I have a comp card go out for each neighborhood. This card I do not want to use, but it's a placeholder for Christmas. I just know I need to replace it with something else or make them turn it yellow or whatever I want them to do. So those are the cards I've selected. These are the ones that have already gone out so far or in the process. And then I want you just to see the billboard library. So this is where I went to select my 12 cards. So let's say there's another neighborhood selling in my same neighborhood using Corfax. They're never going to have selected the same 12 cards, or, you know, each one for each month. If you look at, like, it is vast, the number of options you have. So even if somebody else was using the same thing, they're not going to choose the same 12 you're choosing. And you know what else is going to be different? Your background image, the picture of you, like all of this stuff and all of this customization is going to be a little different. So it is interesting that you, like, that was one of my thoughts too, is I saw another agent was using the same system. Well, we're in different farms, but I was like, I still want to see what he's got going out. He chose a totally different selection. He actually kind of went along with like these little guys. That there's like a whole series of those that have these things, and they're cute, but those are a little too cutesy for me. That's not my jam. And so I chose something that was a little bit different, and had them make some tweaks and changes. But I got a little annoying with my changes and they were perfectly fine with it. I have my own account person who, when I call the 800 number, they always say, "Wait, let me see if I can get Jacqueline on the phone for you." And they try to put me in front of her first if she's there, so that she can help me with the big stuff. But there's always somebody to help with the little stuff. So I mean, like I said, I've been very impressed with this. And so far it has worked out really well for me. And then you can always go in and see your campaign strategy to just see what you have coming up. Kind of cool, huh?
And you know that I've been using it for quite a while because you and I talked about
that.
That's
right. Carl's got it. He's been using this. How long have you been using it? How many
probably
years?
3 or 4 years.
Okay. Yeah, he was one of the first people I knew of that was using it.
Right. But one of the things that we did find out is some of the areas that I was farming were not the best. You know, wasn't getting much return. Remember, we went through all that.
Yep.
So,
we did an analysis of Carl's farm and realized that the neighborhood he lives in, only 2 homes sold last year. And that's not enough to sustain Carl's goals.
No.
So what did we have to do? We had to go find another farm. And that is part of your getting prepared. I would say, if you haven't updated your farms in a while, I know we've been drilling it, into everybody, but just make sure you get together with First American and have them review your farm. Just as a matter of fact, they are very familiar with Corfax. And they know, if you tell them you're working with Corfax and if you give them your username and password, they'll upload your farms for you. And they know the format that Corfax wants, like the order that the columns are supposed to be in and the way they're supposed to be formatted. So they're very user friendly when it comes to Corfax, because they're the ones who kind of actually brought it to most of us. Is that where you learned about it, Carl?
No, I don't remember where I did learn that from, but
okay.
Yeah, I've been using it for quite a while.
They do also have just listed, just sold postcards. There's like all kinds of stuff that you can do to make that 250 per month commitment. But I like the consistency. And I'll tell you this, the top agents in the desert will tell you that they are willing to advertise to get into somebody's mailbox over any other form. And the reason for that is that emails will go to spam. A lot of this other stuff that we do, they're never going to see. But even if they throw me in the trash, they looked at my face as that thing went in the dumpster, right? And as soon as they see me on 2 or 3 or 4 of these, that's how they're going to think that I'm the neighborhood expert. I haven't sold a home in my neighborhood this year. I haven't, because I've been focused on the office and other things. But this was able to put out some information that makes me relevant in my neighborhood when I don't necessarily have a listing. And that's one of the things where, we do have the CRM that does all the email stuff. And it's great when you send out a just listed, just sold postcard, but what do we do when we don't have a listing in the neighborhood? This is a great backfill for that, right? Any other questions or concerns?
Just on that, like your personal logo and the photos and all that, is that something that Josh did for you, or is that something you already had that you just gave them?
Yeah, this one I actually started to create myself, and Josh helped me make some tweaks to it.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you don't have a logo, first of all, you have to remember your logo has to either be your DBA or your name. If you don't have a DBA, it has to be your name. But yeah, he can help create that. I think this one started in Post for My Wall, which is kind of like Canva. It's just another version of it. That's where I started it. It was just based off of a couple other logos I'd seen and started it, and then gave it to Josh and he tweaked it for me. But yeah, he's helped a couple other agents with stuff like that.
Okay.
The background images, I just went on to, I think, Shutter. What is that? Shutterstock? What's it called? Yeah, okay. I went on there and I bought 3 images. As a matter of fact, here, I'll see if I can pull them up real quick and I'll show you what I did. I thought this was interesting. Maybe you guys won't, but I thought it was interesting. Let me see if I can find the folder under marketing. There it is. And I'll share it with you so you guys can see. I had a couple images that I really liked. As a matter of fact, you know what? I'll just share screen here again and show you because they're in here. In my campaign assets, these are the photos I've uploaded, and here's the iStock photos. There's one that I liked. I thought that was a good one. Where's the other one go? Shoot, sorry. I just didn't let the page load long enough. Okay, this one. This was the first one that I started to use, and I love this image, but once they put it up there, I look like every single realtor in Mission Hills Country Club. It just did, like, it was so generic that both Josh and Jeff were like, no, that's not, like, you can't do that. You look like every realtor USA, right? And so I chose to go with this picture instead because I liked the way it went with the yellow in my shirt. And that is the pink mountains that are basically right behind the subdivision I live in. If you, instead of looking to the south, if you look to the north, that's the view that you would actually have. So it was kind of cool because they set the postcards up for me. They gave me a sample with each of them, so I could see what each of the background images look like. I had them flip one around, I had them change the logo size. We probably made 20 or 30 edits before I was like, okay, good to go. But it only took 2 or 3 phone calls before it was all done. Yeah, it's very customizable, like I said. So we'll get more into that. What else? Do you guys have any other questions before I let you go for the day? Would you guys like for us to go over the listing presentation script at the next one that we do? I think that's in 2 weeks.
I would too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would definitely.
Yes,
Perfect.
please.
Listing, thought we might try to squeeze it in today, but I'm glad we didn't because I think it'll be a lot more conversation. And this is the next piece that I know I need to have, and I needed to put into my business in order to be confident going out and getting listing appointments. It can be very scary to get a listing appointment when you don't know what to do with it next, right? So we'll go through that script next week. I'll share it with all of you guys. We'll record the meeting and I will email the recording and the script out so that you guys all have it. And yeah, we'll go from there. So thank you guys all for being here today. I would like to maybe just do you guys have any feedback for me on this event? You feel like you got something good out of it? Do you have any ahas from today? Anything you'd like to see coming in the future from these Overachievers Club meetings?
It was definitely great. I'm so glad, it was a little late. I'm glad I was able to get on.
Awesome. Well, you'll get the recording too, so you can pick up the first few minutes.
This is really good. I actually learned a few things myself.
Yay. Awesome. And thank you for your input today, Josh. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you, my pleasure.
I want to learn more about the Carfax because I do want us to get back into mailing. I kind of got out of that habit. Would like to.
Yeah, you need this. This is awesome because honestly, it's set it and forget it, and then it just tells you when you have a lead. You know what I mean? So
You will like it, Craig.
Yeah.
Telling you have the lead thing is huge. Like I can make you pretty things. I can make you pretty things for your just like new listed and all of that, but like we just don't have the technology to track that piece.
Right. Well, we do through text BHGRE, but that's only good when you have a listing.
Correct.
And once if you don't have a listing yet, then you need something to get started. And this is a good way.
I want to know who's not throwing my stuff away.
Right, right.
And but I already have a QR code that goes to my link tree. So I have 2 QR codes on there.
I don't know how that would work because this one specifically is for, I think you might want to keep that separate, and maybe not, but I think you might want to keep that separate because this QR code is for, these go to your sellers. These go to the sellers in the neighborhood, right? This is for them to be able to find a home value. The QR codes you have takes them to all of your different places, but this is the hook to get them to, first of all, you know who the person is as soon as they've scanned the QR code, you get the notification. And it's the hook that it gives them the thing they're looking for, which is the home value. Because that's what it says here, scan the QR code for an instant home estimate.
Right, that's huge.
And
That's huge,
as a
that they
matter
can
of
tap into
fact,
that information.
I'll see if I can send you guys this code so that you can, I'll see if I can send you guys the QR code so you guys can scan it and see what happens.
I was trying to scan it right now.
Yeah, when it pulls
Hold
up
it.
my,
Hold it
like-
up and close. There you go. Right there. Okay, I got it.
I had too much coffee this morning. My hands got real steady right now. But yeah, I will try to send you guys the code so you can just see what it pops up. My biggest concern with this was I wanted to make sure that it wasn't comparing condos with single family, because my one neighborhood that I farm, they back up to each other. One's condos and one is single family. I didn't want them pulling from each other.
Right.
And it doesn't do that. So yeah.
Can you,
Oh, good.
can you see what it shows there when I opened it up, the link? Can you see that?
Let me see if I got
Carl,
email.
turn your camera on.
Yeah, I got a text that says Stephanie's in, just scanned their QR code.
There you go. Okay,
So
good.
yeah, it tells you who the name of the person is when they do it. Yep. So, okay. Well, thank you guys so much for coming today. I appreciate your participation. It's way hard to do one of these sessions when I'm just talking to myself. So I appreciate the people that did have the ability to log in today with us and join us live. We'll get this recording set up, put it on YouTube, and I'll send it out to everybody. And then next week, we'll go over the listing presentation script and get you guys ready for your next listing appointment.
Beautiful.
Great.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Stephanie.
Have a great day, guys.
Bye.
Hey, guys.
Bye.